everyone. Today our topic is about the branches of physics. And before going towards the branches of physics, let me give you the brief review about introduction of physics. Before going towards the introduction of physics, we should recall that what is science. Science is the study of natural phenomena that are occurring in the universe. In the universe is comprises of different living things and non-living things. Okay, so we can see that living things are living. The air is also a non-living thing, and we are breathing due to air. How the system of living things are working, the science describe all about that. Similarly, the natural phenomena, like it is the study of natural phenomena. Okay, so we can see that early in the morning the sun rises. Why the sun rises, there is a logic behind that, and there is a science involved behind that. At night the moon the moon arises. Why the moon arises? Just because there is a science behind that. Similarly, we can see that the planets that revolve around the sun. Okay, which force is holding them or binding them? That they don't come closer towards the sun and break up the whole solar system. So there is a science behind that. In each and everything, whether it belong to living things and whether they belong to non-living things, there is a science behind each and everything. So basically, we divide the science into two categories, which is biological science and the physical science. In the biological science, there is one subject which is known as biology, in which we discuss about living things, the whole phenomena of the living things, the structure of the living things, and the proper in this subject biology we study about the medications and different these were different organisms. Basically, you can say it is a study of about living things, their structures, medications. Through this field of biology, doctors came into being, and this biology play a very important role in understanding the structure of the living thing and about the living organisms. So, our next category of science is the physical science. In physical science, we study two subjects that are chemistry and physics. In the field of chemistry, we study the atoms, elements, and compounds. When atoms combine, they form elements, and when elements combine, they form molecules. Now, let's come towards our major subject, which is physics. What is the definition of physics? Physics is the study of matter, energy, and the interaction between energy and the matter. Now, what is matter? First of all, point arise here. What is matter? Matter is something that occupies space, that has some definite sort of volume. This is known as matter. What is energy? Energy is something that is, for example, if we want to lift up something or if we want to push up something, for that purpose energy is required. If we want to go from one place to another place, energy is required. If we want to work for 6 to 7 hours a day, for example, for that purpose energy is required. In the field of physics, we basically study about the two main energies, which are kinetic energy and the potential energy. We will discuss about that further in the field of physics. And next, what the definition of physics suggests. Physics says that it deals with the study of matter, energy, and the interaction between matter and energy. There lies a relationship between energy and the matter. how matter and energy are linked with each other, that we will discuss further in the field of physics. So the very first branch of physics is mechanics, one of the most interesting and important branch of physics. Mechanics is the study of motion of the objects, its effects and the causes. Now, if the body is moving from one place to another, it means that it is in the motion condition. In the field of mechanics, we also study the causes, why the body is moving from one place to another, what is the reason behind that, and the effects of the body. So, in order to understand this definition, let me give you people some examples which will clear our concept about this definition. For example, if the car is moving on the road, it means that the car is in the motion condition. Now, the point arises here, why the car is moving on the road? It is because the driver will apply the force on the car which tends to move the car from one place to another. It means that the force is the cause which moves the car from one place to another place. And then we will study the effects of the car on the road as it is moving on the road. What are the effects of the car on the road? Similarly, in order to understand this definition more clearly, I will take another example of the football. For example, the football is in the rest condition. Now, the footballer will come and will apply the force on the football. Due to the applied force, the football strikes the wall. Now, the cause will be the force which tends to push the football from one place towards the wall. The wall will be the final destination of the football to which it strikes, and due to the force, the football will move from one place towards the wall. Now, and we also see what will be the effect of the football on the wall as it strikes the wall. So these type of examples clear our concept of this definition, which is about the motion of the objects, its effects and the causes. The second branch of physics is heat. It is the study of nature of heat, modes of heat transfer, and the effects of heat. Now, let's come towards the elaboration of this definition. What do you mean by nature? Nature of heat. Everything has some specific sort of nature in the world. For example, if the wind blows, everything moves with the wind because air has some specific nature. When it moves, when the wind blows or the air wind blows, it everything moves with the air, right? When the plants grow up, when the plants grow up, it grow up into trees because it has the nature that it has to grow up. Similarly, the heat has some specific sort of nature. The heat has the nature that it raise up the temperature of the things. And if something which is hot is placed somewhere, and if we bring the cold thing besides that hot object, it will transfer its heat towards the cold object. So this is the nature of heat, that it raises the temperature of the objects and it causes the objects to heat up. Okay, this is the nature of heat. Secondly, we deals with the mode of heat transfer. Modes of heat transfer means that there are three ways of the transfer of heat. What are the modes of transfer of heat? That are conduction, convection, and radiation. These are the three modes of heat transfer which we will discuss later on. And thirdly, we discuss in that branch of heat about the effects of heat. That what are the effects of heat on the object? For example, if we used to burn up the paper, if we used to burn up the paper, it would turn into ash, right? And for example, if we want to um, heat up the iron, its color will change, its shape will change. So everything that if we heat up, if we heat up, it will change its shape. It will not remain in its original form. Similarly, heat is used for cooking purposes as well. We want to cook up something, if we want to prepare our meal, the heat is required. Heat is the form of energy, right? Similarly, if we take the example of our hand, and if we put our hand on the heat, our atoms that are present in our hand will burn up and raise the temperature of our hand. So basically, heat is the study of nature, its modes of heat transfer, and the effects of the heat. In this branch, we will discuss the details of heat itself, its effects, and the modes of heat transfer, which are the conduction, convection, and radiation. There are three modes of transfer of heat. Third branch of physics is sound. Sound is the form of energy which travels from one person to another person. Now, how the sound is traveled from one person to another? The point arises here. This is the form of energy which travels from the air molecules towards another person. For example, if a person speaks up something, his voice is transferred by air molecules towards the other person. Why? Because air is the medium which helps to transfer the voice of one person towards the other person. So basically, the sound definition says that it deals with the physical aspects of the sound waves, its production, properties, and the application. Now, what do we mean by the physical aspects of the sound? Physical aspect, we need to consider this point, the physical aspect. Physical means something that exists, and aspect means the parts. The physical aspects of the sound, it deals with the physical aspects of the sound. This branch of physics deals with the physical aspects of the sound. For example, if a person has a mobile and it has the speaker, the mobile has the speaker. Through the speaker of mobile, the sound is transferred towards the other person. And which is the medium? The medium is the air. And through the speaker of mobile, the sound travels by the air molecules towards the other person. Similarly, if we get up early in the morning and we hear the voice of Mozin, why? Because he used the microphone, and microphone tends to amplify the Mozin voice and increase his voice. And everyone get up early in the morning and they hear his voice clearly. So In this branch of physics, we study about the physical aspects of the sound waves, its production. Similarly, I have discussed the detail of the sound, its production, how it is produced. For example, a person speaks up. He speaks up through his lips, but lips are not the source of producing sound. Basically, our tongue, our lungs play an important role in the production of the sound. Then we deal with the properties of the sound. Properties means that the sound is high, low, how much space the sound occupies. So these are the properties and applications. The usage of the sound waves, where the sound waves are used. So there are some of the application of the sound waves which I discuss over here. The sound waves are used to measure the depth of the sea. For example, if the submarines go down and if the people over there want to measure the depth of the sea, they use the sound waves. The sound waves are also used to measure the distances. The sound waves are used in case of radar system. So these are some of the applications of the sound waves. In this branch of physics, which is known as the sound, we discuss about the physical aspects of the sound, its properties, that whether the sound is high or whether it's low, and the applications of the sound. Fourth branch of physics is light. Light is one of the most special branch of physics, which is also the form of energy, like heat, like sound. Sound is a form of energy, heat is the form of energy. Similarly, light is also the form of energy through which we can see the distant objects, through which we can see clearly all the objects. Light helps us to watch all the objects, to see all the objects. Light travels in the form of electromagnetic waves. Example, if we have the source of light, like bulb, everyone have the bulbs in their homes. So the light travels through the bulb in the form of electromagnetic waves, having the specific wavelength. So these electromagnetic waves with the specific wavelength are known as light, which everyone can see. Deals with the study of the physical aspects of the light, its properties, working, and the use of the physical instruments. Now, this is the thing we need to understand, that from the heat and from the sound, the light has also its physical aspects. We have to observe that what is the wavelength of the light, how the light is moving, how the light is bending. We observe the light through different phases. So, like the heat, like the sound, we also have the physical aspects of the light. We observe the light through different phases. What is the wavelength of the light? Through which wavelength of the light, through which wavelength the light is moving. So these are all the physical aspects of the light. Its properties. Now, the properties of the light includes the reflection and refraction of the light, the bending of the light, how the light moves, and the speed of the light in air, the speed of the light in water. So it all includes its properties. Next comes the working and the use of the optical instrument. Optical means the instrument through which we can magnify the distant objects, or we can say the small objects, very clearly. Optical instruments are one of the instruments which is used for magnifying the smaller objects or the distant objects very clearly. We can see all the objects very clearly through optical instruments. Examples of the optical instruments are Telescope and the microscope. In the telescope and the microscope, specific sort of lenses and mirrors are used, which are used for reflection and refraction of the light, which we will discuss later on in this field of optics. So these are the examples of the optical instruments. Electricity and magnetism is another important branch of physics. In this branch, we deal with the study of electric and magnetic effect of the charges, which are at rest or in motion. First of all, we have to study about the electricity. In electricity, we deal with the two branches of charges. These are the first branch is the electrostatics. In electrostatics, we deal with the charges which are at rest and their working, that how these are attracted to, how the charges are attracted towards each other and how the charges repel each other. And the first branch is the electrostatics, and the second branch is the current electricity. In the current electricity, we deal with the motion of the charges. Electricity means the flow of the charges. So as we put on the battery, the charges start to move from the metal plate or whatever the thing is. We provide them energy. We provide them the potential difference. So by providing them the potential difference, the charges start to move. So this is known as the current electricity, and in this branch of electricity we discuss the both fields of electrostatics and the current electricity. And magnetism, obviously there is another field of magnetism. So whenever the current passes through for example, whenever the current passes through any coil, the magnetic effect is produced in that type of coil. Magnetism means the force that attracts something, that used to attract some iron. For example, there is a magnet, and if we place it in front of iron, it used to attract that. So it is a kind of force. So there is a link between the electricity and magnetism. Whenever the current passes through any iron core or whatever, so the magnetic effect is the magnetism is produced, the magnetic effect is produced. You can say that whenever the current passes through any electromagnet, the magnetic effect is produced. So this is one of the natural things, that whenever the magnetic field is present, the electric current is produced, or whenever the magnetic whenever the electromagnetic is present and the electric current pass through them, so the magnetic field is produced. So there is a connection between the electricity and the magnetism. Why? Because whenever the electric current pass through any electromagnet, the magnetic effect is produced, the magnetic field is produced. So in this field of electricity and magnetism, we study about the link of electricity and magnetism. And let's come towards the definition of electricity and magnetism. Electricity and magnetism is the study of charges at rest or in motion. We study their effects and their relationship with magnetism. The next important branch of physics is atomic physics. Atomic physics is that branch of physics in which we study about the atom and the structure of atom. What is atom? We know that atom is the smallest particle of the matter, and when atoms combine together, they form elements, and when elements combine together, they form molecules. Okay, we studied each and every detail of atom in this branch of physics. How the atom is made up of, what are the particles that exist in an atom. Atom is composed of three particles: electron, proton, and the neutron. The proton and neutron lies within the atom, and the electron revolve around the atom. And Rutherford theory and Bohr theory are related to that of the structure of atom. So these are all the things in which we discuss in the field of atomic physics. The definition of atomic physics says it is the study of the structure and the properties of the atom. That how atom is made up of and what are the specific properties of atom. So these are all the things we study in atomic physics. Physics deals with the properties and the behavior of the nuclei and the particles that exist within the nuclei. Okay, so nuclear physics is that branch of physics which deals with the properties and the behavior of the nuclei. It means that we used to study about the nucleus of the atom, that how it is made up of, the nucleus of the atom is made up of, how many particles are there in the specific sort of nucleus which exists in the atom. So there are subatomic particles that lie within the nucleus. These are named as proton and the neutron, and the electron revolve outside the nucleus of the atom. And basically it deals with the properties of the nuclei. Properties means that how many protons and neutrons exist in different kinds of nuclei of the atoms. So and how many electrons are there. So these all are the things in which we discuss about the nuclei, about the structure of the nuclei in the atoms. So, nuclei. What is the nuclei? Nuclei is known as the plural form of nucleus. Basically, we study about the nucleus or the nuclei of the atoms in this specific branch of physics. Plasma physics is the study of production and properties of the ionic state of matter, the fourth state of the matter. Now, this is that branch of physics in which we study the properties and behavior of the plasma, that how the plasma exists. Actually, plasma is the fourth state of matter, and there are solid, liquid, and gas. In the solid, the matter is composed of the molecules, and there is no space between them, and have the definite volume and definite shape. In the liquid, the matter exists in the form of molecules. In gas, we don't see any matter, but in plasma, and plasma, the matter exists in the form of ions. And what are ions? Ions are those things, we can say that, which are without electrons. So in plasma, the matter exists in the form of ions. So basically, in the plasma physics is all about the study of the plasma, the properties of the plasma, how the plasma exists. Okay, so the last part of physics is geophysics. It is the study of the internal structure of the Earth. Basically, the Earth has many layers. So, in the part of geophysics, especially, we study the internal structure of Earth, what's going on inside the Earth. So, we deal with all the details related to the Earth or inner structure of the Earth, and we will discuss it later on in the field of physics. This is the end part of the physics, which is the last branch of physics, and I hope you people understand these branches of physics very well. And till then, thank you so much. You people have the assignment that you people have to learn these branches and revise them and have to understand them.